Hey, what's up, you guys? I got a close one for you today, and it's actually a big roller coaster of a match. There's plenty of ups and downs. It's pretty good. Here's the opponent's team. Obviously, really strong, which really sucks. I either get completely destroyed by these teams or I sneak out a win, and you'll see what happens here if you keep watching. But I brought a random team, which is Pokemon I wanted to use, like I usually do. I brought the Hitmontop just because it's one of my favorite Pokemon, and I have a Tyrantrum just because I haven't used it that much yet. Actually, I haven't used it at all. So I went to Tyrantrum, and then I've been really liking this Scopelands and Teleon with the Focus Energy, so I brought that. So let's get started with the match here. I actually don't have a dedicated lead, and I realized that after I built this team and I was in the team previews. But I decided to go off with the Inteleon just because I think the Inteleon can do pretty good damage against all these Pokemon. It's got a pretty good moveset. So instead of saving, I'm just going to lead off with it. As they go to start with the Yveltal, which really sucks because obviously from the start it's going to be a pretty tough match. So instead of going for the Focus Energy to start off, I don't think I could live a hit. I go for the Ice Beam, and I think right here, this is where I win the match. I might not win the match here, but this is crucial. The Yveltal gets frozen on the first move from the Ice Beam, and they're actually frozen on their attack there. So I get to go for another Ice Beam and take out this Yveltal. Instead of pushing my luck, I just go for another Ice Beam instead of going for that Focus Energy. But if I was the other guy, I would have been so salty. Freaking Ice Beam freeze on the first turn of the match. But we do take out the Yveltal, and now they're going to go into the next Pokemon, which is going to be the Mimikyu. Judging by the team my opponent has, I assume they're just going to go for the Sword Dance first turn. So I go for the Focus Energy here, just so I can get that critical hit on every hit, and then the double damage with the Sniper. So they do go for the Sword Dance, so now this Mimikyu is kind of scary, but I think I can outspeed it. I just gotta take away the disguise off of this thing first and hopefully live a hit. So here, I just click Surf, so I can get rid of the disguise, and then we'll see here if I can actually live a hit after the Surf. But my opponent gets kind of greedy. After the disguise gets knocked down, they go for another Sword Dance. So now they have a +4 in attack with this Mimikyu, which is really scary, but I still outspeed. So now is when I decide to go for the Dynamax, just so I can live a hit. I'm assuming that the only way they'll hit me is with the Shadow Sneak, and Shadow Sneak's base damage, or base power, isn't the best. So here we Dynamax, and this is actually a regular Dynamax, not Gigantamax, just because, I don't know, I've never really used any Gigantamax Pokemon, so maybe I'll incorporate that into one of my other teams later. But they do go for the Shadow Sneak, and that does crazy amounts of damage. That easily would have taken me out if I wasn't in Dynamax, but I am in Dynamax. So we get off the Max Geyser, and that knocks out the Mimikyu in one shot. So that was a great turn right there, being able to tell when I would live the move and still be able to go for the Focus Energy. I think my opponent could have taken me out with one Sword Dance, but it looks like they got pretty greedy there, but we'll take that mistake to our advantage. My opponent's next Pokemon is going to be the Shiny Groudon, which is, I don't know, I don't really like that shiny all that much. Yellow's kind of weird. But they get the Drought off, so that's going to weaken my Water type move, so I'm assuming that's what their strategy was there. But that's okay, we don't have to go for the Max Geyser. I'm actually going for the Max Hailstorm, just so I can get max damage here. And this Max Hailstorm is actually going to knock out the Groudon. This lead-off Inteleon's getting a mini sweeper at the beginning of the battle, which is kind of cool. Especially when you're taking out two legendary Pokemon. I really like this set. It does a lot of damage once you can get that Focus Energy up, and it's pretty fast, so it's cool. If you haven't given it a try, go ahead and give it a try. But unfortunately, this is where it appears that Inteleon's reign of terror comes to an end. The Tapu Fini is going to come out, and this Tapu is going to resist every single move we have. So that really sucks. We go for the Max Geyser. It still does great damage, but not enough to take it out. So it's going to let my opponent the chance to be able to knock me out here with whatever move they want to use. But actually, my opponent gets hella greedy again. They go for a Calm Mind. I don't know why they go for a Calm Mind here when they know I outspeed. It makes no sense to me. Let this be a lesson to all you guys trying to improve. Don't get too greedy, unless you're messing around. This guy gets greedy multiple times, and it costs him multiple times with that Mimikyu and now with that Tapu Fini. I am out of Dynamax, but a Surf in the rain with the Sniper and critical hit is gonna do enough damage, even resisting, to take out this Tapu Fini. But now we're at the point of the match where things actually turn around for Inteleon. The next Pokemon that my opponent sends out is the Cinderace. Now, this is a max speed Inteleon, And I know I can outspeed the Cinderace if it isn't Jolly Nature. If it's Jolly Nature, it'll outspeed me. These Cinderaces also might carry Sucker Punch, but they're gonna Dynamax, which means they don't have the Sucker Punch, and they think they might actually not live, or they might actually get outsped, and not live a regular hit. So they're gonna Dynamax here, or Gigantamax, which is a pretty cool design, but it's kind of funny because, you know, it's supposed to be gigantic, but this Cinderace is still tiny. It's slightly larger. But that's besides the point. So, as we see here, they are actually going to outspeed me and knock out my Inteleon, which is actually really bad because Inteleon's my fastest Pokemon, and now I don't have anything that can outspeed this Cinderace after the +1 on the Max Airstream. So that's what really sucks about leading off with your fastest Pokemon. Like, now I have, you know, to work around this Dynamax here, which is really scary. So I decided to send in Magmortar. He doesn't seem too useful. I don't think there's too much he can do, so I'm just going to have to sack him off here. He dies to the Max Airstream, so now the Cinderace has a +2 in speed and easily is going to outspeed anything on my team. My team also isn't that bulky, but my bulkiest Pokemon is going to be this Vaporeon. So hopefully, even though I'm assuming this is a physical attacking Cinderace, this is my special defensive wall, I still think that Vaporeon can take a hit. So I go for the Max Airstream, and I do live on 45 HP, and that lets me get off an Ice Beam, which, you know, it's not going to kill because this Vaporeon doesn't have that much special attack investment, but it is going to do decent damage, and hopefully put me in a position to revenge kill it soon after it gets out of Dynamax. So that Cinderace is finally out of Dynamax, which is great. It's still in a really powerful position, but I think I have a solution to work around this Cinderace, which I was actually pretty proud of solving. I'm still pretty new at playing the game, and the reason I uploaded this match is because I believe I was able to work around a really powerful Pokemon really well here. So to start off, I just go for Protect, as my opponent goes for the Powerball, which is interesting because obviously I resist that. It would still take me out, but it's still strange to me, especially when I remember that this Powerball actually has a slight chance of missing, but I guess when you're behind, you gotta make some risky moves. So now they do go for the Powerball, and it does take me out, it does land, so now it's backup plan time. And that plan is going to involve my Vileplume. Vileplume is my max defensive wall, and I know I can take a hit even though this is going to be super effective. And this is where the RNG gods have blessed me again. I'm going to try to get the Toxic and Toxic Stall this Cinderace out of its turn. And they go for the Powerball, and it misses. So that lets me get up to free Toxic without taking any damage. So I got that Ice Beam freeze at the beginning, and that Powerball miss right there. If I was my opponent, I'd be even saltier at this point. But now with that Cinderace poisoned, I'm able to go for Protect, and see if I can whittle it down here, and then maybe Revenge Kill it. I still have my Hitmontop in the back, so if the poison does not take this Cinderace out before my Vileplume dies, I'll be able to just go for a Mach Punch and take out the Cinderace. So Vileplume has successfully done their job. They got the Toxic off, took off some damage, and now after this Powerball, which actually we don't live, even though I thought we would live, the Cinderace, after the Life Orb and the poison damage, is actually going to get knocked out too. So we got a double knockout in an open field, which is great. We took out that threat, and we still have 2 of our Pokemon left, while they only have 1. So their last Pokemon is going to be the Garchomp, and I decided to send out my Tyrantrum to start off. Super excited to finally use the thing. I think it looks super cool. It's got a pretty good move pool, and I think it hit pretty hard. So I actually saved my Hitmontop just in case I don't get enough damage on this Garchomp right here, and I can get the Mach Punch off to win the match. But I do have a Focus Sash, so I'm actually going to lead with a Dragon Dance just in case I don't do enough damage. And the Earthquake here from the Garchomp is going to take me down to my Sash. So hopefully after the +1 in attack and the +1 in speed, I can outspeed this Garchomp and take it out. And if I don't, well, hopefully it's in close enough range where my Hitmontop can come in for the win. So we go for the Dragon Claw here, and that is going to be enough to take out the Garchomp after the +1 in speed and +1 attack. And actually the Garchomp had rough skin, so my Tyrantrum faints too. It's a double knockout, but I still have the Hitmontop in the back, so that does win me the match right there at the end. That was a pretty interesting match. I had obviously not that great of a team compared to my opponent, but I did have crazy RNG luck there with the Ice Beam and with the Powerball miss there, getting off with the Toxic. But that's some pretty good Pokemon I used there, and I'm pretty proud of the way that I was able to work around that Cinderace. I'm still new to the game, still trying to improve, and it's nice to see the slow improvement as I play the game more often. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.